Hey guys, this is BlackDragon7, the mod author of VSCCI, and I'm just going to show you a little bit on how to use this mod. It's a little bit complicated, but it's not as bad as it looks. So obviously, open a world. Wait 300 hours for it to start. Okay, there's two commands you need to care about. There's .vscci config and VSCCI event. So we'll start with config. You can see here, I've already have mine set up, but setting it up is very simple. You connect it to Twitch just by hitting login, this button, and that will open up a browser, and then you can log in to your Twitch account, and that will automatically connect it to this. You can connect it to Streamlabs by copying and pasting your Streamlabs key and putting it in here. The Streamlabs key I'm not going to show you because it's, I don't want that to be displayed, but it's pretty easy to get to, and there's documentation on how to get there on the wiki for it, which is on the ModDB post, so you can go there to find out how to find the Streamlabs key. Once you get it, you just paste it in there and hit login connect. Even if you're already connected to Twitch, you can still just hit connect again, and it won't do anything to the Twitch because you're already logged in, but then it will also connect you to Streamlabs. And you can verify that's working by just looking at these two, see if they're both connected, make sure you have your Twitch ID and username. If this username is wrong, you're going to have to basically delete the save file, which I'll make that easier later, but for the moment you're just going to have to delete the save file, which is in the root directory of your vintage story folder. I don't have it set up to show you that, but maybe I'll make another video to show it where it is if I have to. So with that out of the way, the main event. So this is the scripting language that I made. It's really simple. You can click these things and move them around if you want to kind of organize it how you feel like. You select one by just clicking on it like that. You see it highlights to show you it's selected. Once it's selected, you can hit delete to just delete it. So if I want to just get rid of all of these, I can. To add new ones, you just right click and it will open this nifty little box here. Nifty used lightly. And you can scroll up and down on it, and there's got some more. There's a couple of little visual glitches with it right now, but they'll get fixed in the future. You see under event, there's a bunch of different events you can add here. Each of these events correspond to an event that a streamer would get. So like bit event corresponds to getting bits on Twitch. Donation event corresponds to a donation event coming through Streamlabs. Follow event corresponds to both a Twitch and a YouTube follow event, although YouTube it's a subscribe event, but it still shows up here as a follow event because they do the same thing. There's a subscription event as well, and that's basically, it's the Twitch subscription event. I forget what the YouTube equivalent is called, but it's the YouTube equivalent of subscription, right? Like somebody paying you on YouTube. So that's what that event's for. The other ones are pretty self-explanatory. If you don't really know what they do, then you can look at the documentation for the relative platform. Basics are just all of the basics, I guess, to manipulating data. So you can like add a divide node, or you can multiply or add or subtract or append strings. This one's interesting. Basically, you put in a string to here, put in a string to here, and the result will be the two strings combined. So just to give you a little example here, let's say you want to do the bit donation event, and you want to increase the server time based on the amount that they donated, right? I don't know why you'd want to do that, but just for an example. You can then do run server command, and you see these two exec nodes here? You have to connect them for this to happen, right? So anything along this exec line will be executed, right? That's what exec stands for. So this bit event, you notice it doesn't have an exec on this side. You see how this one has one here, and this one doesn't have one over here. That means that this starts the whole process, right? So this gets executed from something external to the script, and that being the bit event, right? And so this is an output. Everything on the right is an output, and everything on the left is an input. So because this is an output, that means that whatever you connect this to is what's going to happen next, right? So directly after the bit event, this is going to happen next. You could have a node in between here as well and have that happen as well. You could even have two of these if you want. It doesn't really matter, as long as you can chain them together through the exact pins here. Okay, so let's say that you want to add time, right? So a server command like time, add, and then some number, right? That's what we want to create. So to do that, we would make a constant string which just means a literal, right? It's just like you can type what you want in here, and that's what the value will be. So if you want it to be time add a space because you need a space for the command. And then you want to convert an int to a string, right? So there's conversions here into string. So you can turn this amount to a string here, move it down here, and then you're gonna do that weird thing where it was showing up in there. It's just a visual glitch. As soon as you scroll, it'll fix itself. I'll fix that later. You get pen string here. So a pen string, like I said before, is just combining two strings. So you want to combine the time to the string representation of the int, and then you just plug that in to here. Now, run server command, oh, by the way, middle mouse click on a connection to remove it. Run server command, you can type text in directly. Anywhere you can type text in directly, you can also connect the relevant type to. For the moment, that's just strings, but eventually even the like int string stuff we'll be able to connect to. So like constants here, for example, an int, right? This box will only let you type in numbers, right? So numbers will work. I can't type in letters here. I'm trying to type in letters and nothing happens. Eventually, you'll also be able to just connect this directly to here. That doesn't work right now. It only works with strings at the moment. But the idea is eventually that'll happen. So yeah, get rid of that. Once again, just hit delete after I clicked on it. Plug the result into here, and then let's test it, right? So I'm going to go onto my Streamlabs API thingy. It's not called an API, it's the website, you know what I mean? And I'm just going to hit the button that simulates the bit event. If you have Streamlabs, you probably know how to do this. If not, there's tons of websites and stuff out there that will show you how to do it. So I'm going to click on the button now, and you just see the time moved. Click on it again, time moved again. So as you can see, it basically executes this command whenever this event gets fired. This is all the information that comes from that event, right? So the amount is like how much they donated, from is who donated, message is the message from them donating the bits. There's a couple of other things that probably will show you real quick. Disconnect this one. So there's a concept of flow nodes here. So you could delay. So delay means basically don't do it now, do it later, right? Wait this amount of time before you continue. So the milliseconds here is like, I think it's 1,000 milliseconds per second. So if you wanted to make it delay for exactly 1 second, for example, then it would be like that. All right, so now if I hit the event, oop, there we go. They're a little finicky sometimes. If you click on it and you end up dragging instead of actually making a node, then you're gonna have to move your mouse down. I forgot, I haven't told you how to actually make the connection, have I? So to make a connection, you just click in the little box and then drag, and then drop on top of another box. It's really simple. So yeah, anyway, if you want this to delay for 1 second, you just do this, right? Now it'll delay. I'm not going to show you that because you can't actually see when I click the event, so you just have to trust me. Or try it yourself, either way. So here's the flow. So there's an if-then. So this is basically just saying that like if this condition is true, then it will do this one. If it's false, it will do this one, right? So like you could say something like if it's greater than some number, right? So if you wanted to do that, you could just plug, oh, you can only have one connection per thing, so I'd have to disconnect this one first and then drag it over to the new one. So yeah, and then like that. So like if this guy is greater than some other number that we could add here, then it would do true. Otherwise it would do this one. So you could have two different options here, right? So you could say like time add or time set or whatever. I'm not gonna do that though, because I don't wanna do that. So the other option here is a for loop. So a for loop just means that starting at this position, like this number, and ending at this number, it will go through every number in between, one at a time. So let's say that you have a constant int here, let's say 0, and then 5. So this will happen a total of 6 times. Which might be confusing because the out is 5, right? But it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a total of 6 numbers. So when you put this in here, put this in here, this will call this command 6 times. So if I just hit test again, oh, maybe that didn't work. I might have to check that one. It should work. Oh, I'm not passing in the number anymore. You see? That was right there. Yeah, I had to connect that again, because without that, it doesn't know how much time to add. There we go. So yeah, it's not super obvious that it happens 6 times, but it happens 6 times. And each time it happens, this number will change, right? So the first time this number is 0, the second time it's 1, the third time it's 2, and blah, blah, blah. So like if I wanted to show you that, there is another action here It's just show local chat, so that this print to local chat will only happen locally, right? So nobody will see this message except for you. So you can just do this, and then I could conversion into string, convert this guy to a string, do the message again. Oh, apparently it stops at 4. Never mind, ignore what I said before. It only happens 5 times. I forgot, this is not, it's not less than or equal, it's just less than, so never mind. This number should be 1 more than you want it to be. Maybe I'll change that later, because it makes more sense for me, it makes more sense to me for it to, you know, be the number it ends on, but I'm probably going to change that. Expect that to be changed in the future, but for the moment it ends on the one before it. So yeah, so as you saw, that happened a bunch of times, and it prints 1 number per time, so this value changes each time. Trying to think if there's anything else that's might be super confusing. If you want to pan the view, can't forget that, you just middle mouse click in an empty space and just move it around, right? So you can move all these wherever you want, out of the way if you want. There's a little rendering glitch with this. I'll fix that later. You're gonna hear that a lot. Okay, so like let's say I wanted to do a donation event as well, right? So you can have as many events as you want, right? So you can have a donation event, you can even do another bid event if you felt like it, and they would both happen. Making another event here, like that's totally valid. We could do a separate thing, so you would just be doing 2 things at the same time whenever bids happen. But let's say that for this one, we're going to print to the chat, and we're just gonna say who did it, right? So now if I do a donation event, you see, it was me. I did it. I donated to myself, apparently. And if I do a bid event, and it just prints the thing. So you see, anytime this bid event happens, this is what happens, and anytime the donation event happens, this is what happens. And there's a bunch of different events, as I showed you before, and there's a ton of things in here you can use. So there's not as many options as I would like right now for the actions, considering that there's only 2. Run server command gives you quite a few things you can do, because, you know, anything that you run on the server, close that. So any command that you can have in here, right? So all of these, gotta hold alt, all of these can be used, right? It's just any server command, even if it's a command added by a mod, it will always happen. Well, I mean, as long as the bit happens and there's a valid input, but you know what I mean. So something else real quick to save. You see it's already saved, right? Like when you close it automatically saves, but another option to save is just to hit Control S. So as you're doing things, you can just spam Control S if you want, just to make sure you don't lose anything. I think that's about it though. If there's any other questions, or if I didn't cover something on here that you need to figure out, just drop me a comment on the ModDB, or you can go to the GitHub and make an issue about it. The GitHub link is on the source tab for the ModDB. And yeah, I think that's it.